It seems like lately in the world of popular culture, every sort of artistic medium out there is experiencing a sequel burnout. It's hard to go and catch a movie with a few friends without someone suggesting another Marvel movie or whatever shit-tier superhero film DC has to offer for all of us to mindlessly stare at while rummaging our greasy hands in a bucket of popcorn, with movie makers employing shiny special effects to hopefully distract us from the fact that the characters are underdeveloped, the story is shit if there even is one, and that the film is a cash grab cinematic abortion, as if we're all just a bunch of easily distracted toddlers that can be wholly swayed by big explosions and cool sound effects. Well, never mind. It shouldn't surprise anyone that the shit-stain excuses for movies that Hollywood keeps pumping out are in reaction to a demand that everyday consumers like you and me express to these monolithic movie-making corporations by deciding which films we throw more of our sweet moolah at. Movie companies are ultimately just companies, and they're going to stick with the formula that sells, and sells the best. If anything, movies are so bad nowadays because film companies and directors know exactly what we want. They know how to condense what interests the general population into a single formula, and package it into their movies to guarantee success. Of course, movies aren't the only medium that are undergoing this sequelitis. Video games have had this shit happening to them forever. Just look at the games that were featured at E3 2017. Destiny 2, Crackdown 3, another goddamn Assassin's Creed game, a new Metro, The Evil Within 2, Metroid Prime 4, another Monster Hunter, Wolfenstein 2, Forza Motorsport 7. Hell, I'd bet there were more sequels announced at E3 this year than there were new original titles. Video game companies aren't creating sequels in a vacuum any more than movie companies are, though. They're responding to a demand consumers make via their wallets by creating more of what sells. That isn't necessarily a bad thing, of course. Normally, good video games are rewarded the most in sales because nobody wants to buy a bad product. In fact, that's how some of the most prolonged franchises we still have around today got their start. The original 2003 video game Call of Duty was critically acclaimed by most reviewers, receiving a Metacritic score of 91 for the PC version, a 9 out of 10 from GameSpot, and a 9.3 from IGN. Definitely nothing mock-worthy. Battlefield 1942, a similar game from around the same time, got good scores from reviewers too. Both games inspired multiple sequels in the vein of the original. However, Battlefield is a franchise that has received far less hatred and vitriol directed at it, despite, in its original form, being very similar to Call of Duty. So, somewhere along the way, sequel after sequel, Activision and the devs fucked up pretty big and made their core base of fans turn against them. Call of Duty started out as a slower type of game. In the campaign of the original, if you caught the attention of enemies and failed to act immediately enough, you would get your ass handed to you even at the default game difficulty. Call of Duty at least tried to be kind of realistic in the beginning, which made later iterations of the franchise seem like a slap in the face to the original consumers that bought Call of Duty expecting semi-realistic, slower-paced historical FPS games. Soon, installments in the Call of Duty franchise were no longer able to stand alone. The creativity involved in making a 5th or 10th or 27th sequel, somewhat in the footsteps of the original, can't come close to the spark of innovation in the beginning that was required to make a fresh and original game. Trying to escape this simple reality by changing the game in every way you can to either maximize creative potential or profit would only result in you alienating your game's players. This crucial balance between making sure your game is different enough from its predecessor to get people to buy it, but similar enough so that your supporters, new and old, will purchase the sequel, is a balancing act the Call of Duty franchise has utterly failed at, and it's why they are getting a lot of the hatred they are. Fans reminisce of the older Call of Duty games, nostalgic for when the game they liked wasn't like this. The aim of the first COD was to make a game with good characters, atmosphere, story, and gameplay that would practically guarantee success. Now, the aim of COD is to attach itself like a tapeworm to whatever fad is currently popular, to leech off of it for profit. But then when the blowback from pandering too hard and appropriating other games finally hit them, they pandered a bit more and did exactly what the fans wanted them to do. A reactionary move that I don't think is all that different from pandering to the sci-fi crowd in the first place. Call of Duty is waffling, shakeable, and adapts like a cockroach to what's trendy. There isn't an indication of an ounce of creativity being pumped into these games anymore. So while the franchise is making decisions to maximize profit by giving players nostalgic glimpses into their childhood with the COD 4 remake and the upcoming World War II game, the writing is already on the wall. You can give consumers exactly what they want, and that's exactly what movie companies have been doing by pumping out superhero movie after superhero movie. But totally appeasing your fans in absence of a good product won't make your game any less shit.